Hey everybody, so it is Friday morning, 4:15. I just got out to the barn. I'm gonna start milking. It feels really good out here. It's actually in the 60s. Got below 70 degrees for the first time in a little while. We've had a very hot summer so far. For me, it's not ideal, but I can deal with it a little better than the cows can. We're actually milk testing this morning. So once a month, someone from the Lancaster DHIA, the Dairy Herd Improvement Association, they'll come out and they're gonna put units on all the milkers, and we're gonna get a milk weight, a production measurement from every cow, and then collect a sample, and we'll get a test of milk quality components. It's not really the best week to be milk testing because the production dipped a little bit with how hot it was early in the week. So this was a fresh heifer just this week. Moved her out to the free stall. I think she knows how to lay in a stall, but for some reason she decided she was just gonna lay on the slats this morning. We have some issues with new heifers not laying in stalls, but they usually do pretty good. It's not good for them because, for one thing, it's dirty, but it's also hard concrete, so it's not good for their legs either. She needs to not be doing that. I'm gonna bring pen 1 over, go through, clean the stalls, and it's Friday morning, so we're gonna bed as well. So this is the meter that they hang on the milker. Just makes everything a little more bulky, but it works out pretty well. So it's just collecting a small percentage of the milk, and there's numbers on the side. Here's how many pounds she's producing this milking. We're milking 3 times a day, so normally average in the mid-90s. We get around 30 plus pounds on average. This is a first calf heifer group, so they're gonna make a little less. These are getting up over 20. This one had 22 this morning. Now, before we can attach these to the next cow, I'm gonna go through and collect a little sample from this to be sent to a lab, and then we'll get milk quality and components from every cow. Some of these up to 30 pounds. 8.6 pounds in a gallon, so you're talking 3 gallons per milking or a little more. Some of these, the first calf heifers, the ones that just had 1 calf, are not going to produce as much. They don't peak as high, but then they'll kind of hold their milk better late into lactation, so they make up for it a little bit by just sustaining that solid production. Come on, head in there. I'm getting group 2 now. Once I get these cows out of here, I'll bed up this half of the barn. Do that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I got pen 2 over to the holding area. Megan's gonna work at milking those. I'll be done pretty soon and I can help again, but we'll get bedding for the first half of the barn. It's 5 a.m., but you got the sun starting to work its way up. I got some lime I'm gonna dump in the shavings, and then we'll stir that up and take a scoop out. We mix that hydrated lime with the sawdust. In the summer with the barn open, it clears out really well, so we don't mind it. In the winter, we try to avoid using it because dust is kind of nasty. My skid loader cab is not sealed, so I need a mask on. So guys, the age-old question, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I think this bucket holds about a cubic yard and a half, something like that. In the summer we have these misters up above the cows we turn on once we get the milkers on. I'm going out to close group 2 and open group 3. That just soaks their backs pretty well. Cools them down 3 times a day. Gets a little warm in the parlor because they're all standing beside each other. We have the ceiling fan up there moving air, but if you soak them down like that, they get really comfortable. See, they're chewing their cud, feeling pretty good. I had my morning soda, I couldn't resist. Try not to have one every morning, but just hits the spot around 5:30 a.m. We have a few things to help the cows with heat stress out here. So for one thing, we just have a roof to give them shade. The barn's nice and open, so there's good airflow, and we have fans at the headlocks and then also fans in the stalls. The other thing we have is little water misters on the fans. Just put a mist out, it kind of feels like air conditioning. We do not have water sprinklers above the headlocks. A lot of farms will soak the cows when they're up eating. We used to do that, but the problem is it takes so much water, and we didn't have enough water to be able to do that. What I'd like to do in the future, they make a product that's a sensor. So basically, you have the sprinklers across the headlocks, but it's not just on a timer. It's actually sensing if there's a cow right in front of it. And that way it'll only run where the cows are standing at any time. And it saves a ton of water, and you still get that soaking. Now we're gonna get the last side of pen 3 into the parlor, and I'm gonna get group 4. Got everything opened up for bedding. Just texted my dad, he'll come through and bed the second side. Got almost 45 pounds this morning, that's pretty good. Here we go. Almost 54 pounds. Wow. Who is that? 838. Good milker. Just chasing this last pen 3 cow out to her group. And we're talking about milk production. So that cow had 56 pounds. That's just the fluid volume. But we also need to look at the components in the milk. What percent fat and protein are in that milk? We're actually paid by pounds of fat and protein. If a cow's making 100 pounds of milk, 4% fat and 3% protein, that's 7 pounds of components. A production goal that we have and a lot of farms talk about is 7 pounds of components per cow per day. We were over that in the winter, now we're below that with the summer heat. Time to get the last group over. Call these the special needs. Fresh cows in here for a couple days, and sore feet cows. It's really nice for sore feet cows because they have a very short distance to the holding area in the parlor. Really easy access to feed. And then we have a handful of cows in this group that just stay in here. That one cow there is just extremely big. She doesn't fit in a stall. We got the special needs in the parlor. So every morning we scrape this front alley, the special needs and pre-fresh pen. So this is the only area that's not a slatted floor in the barn. Slats are under the whole free stall, and then there's one lane that comes this way. So we normally scrape the manure here into this pit, although in the summer it runs pretty dry, so usually we have to scoop it up. The concrete guys are not going to show up today. It's a decent chance of rain, so can't be pouring concrete. Dad's going to scrape it up. I'll let him clean this and I'll start cleaning up the other stuff. The cows are pretty comfortable now. They're enjoying the cooler weather. They also like fresh bedding. That's why we like to put so much sawdust on. We think they lay a little bit better. You got this whole group either laying down or eating feed, so that's pretty good. It's basically what we want them doing, resting or eating. We don't want them standing around while drinking water too. That's good. So you can see the advantage. Group 4 just got back from milking, so more of the cows are up eating because there's feed there now for them. Whereas group 1 over there, 3/4 of the group's still laying down. That's something I'm kind of excited for with the robot feeder. We're going to be able to have it run feed out more consistently. We should always have feed there when cows are coming back from milking, so that's really going to be nice, I think. It'd be nice if we had something to push against to scoop this stuff up, but we make it work. You'd have some sort of solid barrier here, but then you can't use the gate right, so just get some speed, scoop it right up. It's not that man's first day running a skid loader. So now I'm gonna chase the pre-fresh cows front, and I'll put some bedding in the special needs. Underneath the fans is where it gets the dirtiest, which doesn't make sense because they dry it out more, but that's where the cows like to lay. They like to lay right underneath the ceiling fans. I think at some point we ought to get a third ceiling fan in this group. I'd like to slide this fan over 8 feet and then put one right in the middle. There's still air moving in the middle, but it's not as much as underneath the fans, and cows definitely notice the difference. So these are the pre-fresh cows. They're going to be calving within the next 3 weeks. This pen can hold up to 16 cows. We average about 20 fresh cows a month, or 2 cows every 3 days. They kind of go in runs though, so we'll have some weeks where we have a lot of calves, and then a week goes by without having any sometimes. We'll bring a couple scoops of sawdust up. Milking's finished, everything's cleaned up. The cows averaged 86 pounds this morning, which is pretty good for the hot weather. They'll send all those samples off to a lab and we'll get results on the milk, fat, and protein and somatic cell count, which is the milk quality. We also get a weekly butter, fat, and protein test from our milk company, just on the whole tank, so we kind of know where they've been running with that. I'm gonna get some breakfast now and then we'll be back out. I think our 2 other unloaders are gonna be showing up today. Brought both of our other unloaders today. I get them hanging. We don't have power up the silo yet, so we can't try and run them, but all 3 are going to be identical. I mentioned it a couple times, but we don't pour a floor in these silos. We have to stop this unloader before it gets down to any sort of concrete. Probably once we get down to 4 inches or something above the footer, we'll just have to shut it off. So there's going to be a little bit of feed that'll just stay packed in here permanently.
Just watch, everything's sharp.
The unloader guys are well on their way. I was helping a little bit, but they don't really need someone right now. So one thing I wanted to do, we have the Smax Tech internal health monitoring boluses and all the cows. The reader for that system is right here, communicates with the satellite. It's got cellular connection. We don't have internet wired into it or anything. We have it right here at our special needs and pre-fresh pens. And the freestall is right over there. We're having some trouble. Seems like some of the cows in the freestall are not updating like they should. It's supposed to communicate pretty often and send an update so you have current data. We were thinking of moving this out a little bit towards the middle of the barn. Just hoping we can catch those cows a little better and still reach over to the pre-fresh cows. It's currently mounted right over there. We're gonna move it out. I think just attach it to that post right there, kind of right in the middle of the freestall. Should easily reach everybody out in here. Decided to put it right there. That way there's no chance we can catch it with a skid loader when we're driving through. Now we're gonna watch the Smax Tech app and see if all the cows are updating. Starting to drizzle a little bit out here, getting a rain shower coming through. Got a bunch of this close to ready to go. They have to lay rebar in on Monday and then they can pour it. Come out right in front of the bunks. Once we get to this corner, the lane's gonna bend straight towards the opening in the middle of the barn. So we have one more section to dig out right there for the lane. There's a little bit that's gonna go up to the special needs door there too. I'm gonna just mark this out and he's gonna work at digging this out a little more. We gotta use a jackhammer to break up this driveway. It's that hard that we can't dig it with the bucket. Not exactly a straight line there. I got another video uploaded. Looks like Dad's making some progress. They don't have the power cord. We don't have the conduit up the silo yet, so that needs to be hooked up. But everything else is in. They're working at the third silo now. Those unloader guys are well on their way. So yesterday we had a little bit extra concrete. We poured in front of our heifer barn. We also put some up here. We bring the milk for the calves on a wagon across. There's a step there, so we kind of ramped that down. Put a nice little pad right here. That should be a little nicer to pull that wagon over. It's kind of a pain when there's extra concrete and you got to decide quickly what to do with it, but it's also nice if you can get it set somewhere and bring some value. You got to bed these calves up. Okay guys, it's the next morning. So we got the two unloaders in yesterday. Here's the winch for the third silo. Every silo is slightly different, the way it worked out with where the chutes are and the cables. The first silo we ran this one leg of the hexapod at the top right beside the chute where the feed comes down, which puts the winch really close to where this feed kind of spills out. You can see there's a little bit of triticale we're feeding out of this silo now. Getting on top of this. We're planning to build some sort of cover for this just to keep the rain and mess off of it. Didn't get to that yet. Things are going to be changing with the way this conveyor is going to go in, and it's going to get cleaner. We're going to have a nicer setup. This is just temporary. And then if you move to the second silo, we moved it over just a little bit. It's maybe a foot farther away from the chute. Then we did something a little bit different on the third silo. This one mirrors the other two. Chute's coming to this side. And we actually stuck the winch on the leg of the hexapod that's farther away from it. So there's going to be no feed or anything spilling on top of this, which will be the best for it. This is a winch that lifts the unloader all the way to the top. It's automatic. Got to put the motor on yet. He has that sitting somewhere. That'll be wired into the robot then, and it can automatically lower the unloader as it feeds its way around and needs more feed. It's good to have all of our unloaders on hand. There's still a little bit of work that needs to be done with them. I was saying we got to get the cable in, actually run them, make sure everything's working, but at least most of the parts are here. 3 completely identical unloaders. One benefit to that is we're only going to be feeding out of 2 silos most of the time, so if something would break, we have spare parts sitting in the silo we're not feeding out of. Worst case scenario, we actually have parts on hand, but hopefully we don't need to tear stuff apart, but it's just nice to have as a backup. So there's one nice thing that they did right here. The way these silos are set up to get up to the chute, that ladder was there. It was a little bit awkward to climb into the chute. Jeff, the guy we bought our unloaders from, he said you can put a platform there, see if you like that. It just gives you a chance to step off the ladder before you try and climb into that door there. I didn't even try it yet, so I'm gonna climb up there now and see if I like it. Yeah, that's a game changer. That is way safer. Guess if we wanted to make it extremely safe, we could put a railing around there or something, but it's a nice big platform. It's really easy to step off the ladder onto there and then climb in the door. I'll show you what the other 2 silos look like. Just have the ladder there, and you get up there and you're trying to open it and sneak through. It's a little dangerous, honestly. I think they should have something like that standard on these silos, set up some sort of platform there to make that a little easier. So we're gonna do that same thing to these other 2 silos. He just did one to see if we liked it first. It's good we're making progress. Next week we're gonna finish up concreting the rest of the way up to the barn. Today's Saturday morning, so no one's here. Could have been working yesterday. They were calling for rain and we didn't really get anything during the day. You just never know. You don't want a heavy rain on freshly poured concrete. So we got our milk test results back for yesterday. The milk fat was 4.1%, protein was 3%, and somatic cell count was 59,000. So that is the lowest somatic cell score we've had, honestly, in like 3 years during an extremely hot month. It was 87,000 to the milk company last week, so I know it's not a fluke, but yeah, we usually figure if we can be at 100,000 or less, that's really good. That's our goal. We haven't been averaging under 100,000. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that contribute to the somatic cell, but that's just a measurement of your milk quality. If you have cows with mastitis, your somatic cell is going to go up. Like one bad case of mastitis from one cow, it can be 25% of your total somatic cell. It can raise your tank average quite a bit. So if you just have a few cows with bad mastitis or something, it'll throw it off. So that means there's no bad cows in the whole herd. That was really encouraging. Sometimes we struggle with that, especially over the summer. I don't know. We've been really happy with those future cow teat prep rushes. I think it's helped with the consistency of cleaning. Hard to know what else is contributing to that, but sometimes that score goes up and you don't know what you did different. You're at 180,000 all of a sudden. Try not to celebrate too much, but it's nice to see some success with that. But yeah, your milking equipment needs to be working well. Cows need to be kept clean. Their immune systems need to be in a good position. If they're getting poor feed, that can throw them off. Just a lot of factors that contribute to the somatic cell. Cleaning them in the parlor, that's a big thing. Teat prep before you put the milker on. It's enough rambling. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot for watching.